Hey y'all.
Hey y'all, we
I guess we
back.
should do our little intro. Hey y'all, it's Dalanie,
And it's Katie, and this is Classically Black Podcast
where we talk all things classical music and being black in the profession.
with Trap Beats playing up. With Trap Beats playing up.
I didn't know you was gonna do an intro song.
With Trap Beats playing in the background.
Period. All right, so hey y'all, we're back. Um, like we are annually. But we're gonna be talking about a little conversation that's been in the ether for a lot of us. For a lot of us this past year or 2 years or however long we've been inside this because
Because who knows at this point? Because honestly, like, who knows?
time doesn't mean anything. So, but for y'all who don't know, who don't listen to the show, or have never been to a classically black live show, we do have a little bit of a structure. We're gonna, talk our stuff, and then we have a little intermission, which usually in the show might not have something to do with classical music. It may or may not, but it's kind of just to break up the conversation, give us a little breather from whatever we're talking about, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So, in this past, like I said, however long we've been in this pandemic, a lot of people have shifted their work and life priorities because it's brought a lot of things into perspective. But I feel like the racial reckoning that we've had that's coincided with the pandemic has caused an entire community of musicians to reevaluate their position in the industry. For us as Black musicians in particular, I know Katie and I have had this conversation about how we sort of fit into this industry as Black musicians, how we are treated, how we are valued, and basically how we want to move forward as individuals and as a unit in this industry. And a lot of things that we've seen over the past year, especially, is people coming up with their own organizations, initiatives, and whatever it may be to sort of offset uh, the circumstances that they find themselves in when they're being involved in institutions that they may not feel particularly valued in. So we're not here to convince y'all one way or another. I think Katie and I are both we got a mix because obviously we do classically black, but we also have ties to institutions ourselves. So we're not really here to convince y'all one way or another, but we do want to open up a discussion about this topic of should we stay? Should you create your own stuff? What are the benefits, etc.?
So, like a lot of people, I'm not gonna say the past 5 years because I'm new here, but I'm obsessed with Insecure. It was amazing. Um, Sad that it's over, but also glad that a great story was told. And in my obsession with Insecure, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn more about Issa Rae, and I knew about Issa Rae because like Awkward Black Girl, of course. I didn't like watch every episode of it, but I knew who she was. So like when I started like looking into her and like watching her interviews and stuff like that, a lot of stuff that she was talking about, we have these conversations in classical music. At least like me and my colleagues have these conversations. And one thing that Issa always talks about, and really her brand, is this like idea of like creating what she doesn't see. That's how Awkward Black Girl got here anyway. And then Insecure is not the same but the ideas are similar. Some of the ideas carried over rather, and also this idea of like making your own yes. And it's not just Issa. Like you see this a lot in her contemporaries, like Quinta with her new show Abbott Elementary, which is so cute and so hilarious. And then also I think someone even more than Quinta is Ava DuVernay, and Ava is really like, I feel like Issa and Ava have similar ideas, but like 10 toes down. Ava's like, girl, if you don't get your own camera, if you don't got a camera, use a Nokia brick phone, like make your own stuff, start from there, period. Like build your career, do it anyway. And this idea that like, if there's ever a time where like these institutions, predominantly white institutions do not want us, I always have something to go back to. So like 10 toes down in that idea. And I say this a lot, but a lot of my inspiration for literally everything comes from outside of classical music. I mean, if I want to know how to shape a phrase, I'm gonna turn a little to the Zimmerman, you know what I'm saying? But like a lot of my inspiration comes from outside of classical music. So I'm like, okay, so how can I put this into perspective for my own life? How can it be more applicable to me, especially like within this movement of like creative ownership and being entrepreneurial and all this other stuff. But you already see this. You see it in the Rich Chamber Players, you see it in Gateways, Amani Winds, the Harlem Quartet, Cast of Our Skins, the International Society for Black Musicians. If you're Black, join, it's free. And of course, like Classically Black as well. I mean, I think what's a little different with Classically Black is we didn't really start it like me didn't huddle like in my basement with like girls. So how we gonna start a revolution? Like it was really like we start a podcast, and it kind of just grew and developed from that. So like Dalanie said, we're just gonna talk about both sides and just give you something to like pontificate on, or explore something that you really haven't explored before, or apply to your own artistry. And then if you are in the spaces that we're talking about, like maybe we should leave from, you should also ask yourself why, like in a more insightful way than like what y'all have been doing before. So let's get to it.
Period. So, like Katie said, I mean, we've definitely been on the side of creating your own stuff and creating your own yes. And so we're going to talk about basically some of the benefits that we've seen or that we hope to see moving forward. So, I mean, one of the primary benefits I would say is you have more control in general, but having more control of the issues that are addressed and how you address them. And what I mean by this is that I feel like we spend a lot of time on Classically Black talking about folks who just don't get it. And and I feel like, obviously there are spaces where there are people who are trying to get it. Great, thank you. But in terms of some of the issues that a lot of Black people face in classical music, there's just a lot of either misunderstanding or willful ignorance, which I think is probably it's like 70-30. Like
that's generous.
Willful ignorance, like. But I think that as Black musicians, we have more control when we create our own spaces. We have more control over our own narrative, in that we can actually isolate the issues that are going to be most impactful for us. I feel like not all the time, because a lot of us have a lot of unlearning to do. Honestly, if you listen to Classically Black like in 2018 versus Classically Black today, a lot has changed in terms of the topics we talk about, the composers we talk about, the music. Like a lot has changed, and that's because we both we went to conservatory. We are not immune from any of the conditioning that comes from that. But still, what I found is that a lot of that learning curve is removed in our own spaces, because we have overlapping, I will say, experiences, because they may not always be a collective experience, but they do overlap, and we have just a little bit more control about how effectively we can target those issues.
And you said people, I just feel like this is one thing I firmly believe, especially like, I think I always thought this, but certainly like after 2020 and the racial reckoning, it's like there is a certain stuff that no PD is gonna fix. Like I do not care. Like certain stuff PD can't fix. So like when you have your own organization, you can hire who you want to hire, you can hire out whoever you want to hire, and you don't have to deal with stuff like that. Like why am I teaching you this? Like all this information is easily accessible, plus your moral compass. Like why are you taking PD for like anti-racism? Like that's weird. That's not weird to you? I think that's weird. I feel like the nuances of anti-racism, like sure, like why, like y'all should stop playing Wagner, for example. But like the nuances of that, like fine. But it's like, Miss Mayo, why are you a whole 3 days? Come on.
The easily accessible thing be kicking people's behinds.
You have the entire world like right here. It's right. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it.
Because I mean, we've gotten that before for sure. Like, you know, we post a little funny things on Classically Black's Instagram and stuff, and like we've definitely had people be like, "Oh well, how you expect us to play Black composers? They're so hard to find." And I'm like, "And why do you think that is?"
Yourself that. you gotta buy a drill and drill to the mantle of the earth to find a piece by Adolphe Tale story. But you could find a facsimile of Handel's anything. His last peanut butter and jelly sandwich on IMSOP. Ask yourself that. Come on, like use your noggin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like use your noodle.
It's like you see 2 + 2 is 4, and you're like, well, if 1 plus 0.5 plus 0.5, like you making it way more like it's like very much ask yourself. Yeah. But that kind of leads into, I mean, what an important part for us as artists is having creative agency. And I feel like creativity is not necessarily always, you know, some of the ways that we think about creativity, and like, you know, this is how we're gonna phrase this and this is how we're gonna jazz this up. Like, I feel like it also comes from the vision that we see. And I feel like when you bring your own culture and your own background into classical music, like we've seen an explosion of creativity in new music, and just like the types of events and stories that we've seen be told in classical music thus far. I mean, Classically Black is an example of that, because that creative agency with Katie's intermissions, like.
Girl, I literally be like, no, we're not gonna do too much. I'll be washing the dishes. I'll be like, we start in 10 minutes, Katie. What we finna like?
But where are we gonna do that if Classically Black didn't exist? Exactly.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, but we gonna take the first part.
Katie, the explosion of creativity in her brain, like I just personally,
you just what?
I'm in awe.
You're in awe.
Mm-hmm.
You're in awe.
Yep.
Men have walked on the moon, and you're in awe.
Yep.
Of that. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I want to move on. I think we should move on.
Well, I mean, one of the hugest ones, and I would say this is probably the most important, because it speaks to the longevity of just being able to work in like any field, is the control of the workspace that you inhabit. And that encompasses the culture, the people you work with, and the environment that you're in. Because I feel like we'll get to this a little bit in the intermission, but I feel like in a lot of spaces in classical music, it's like you hear about people who, actually you don't hear about this as much. I didn't even realize this until maybe a couple years ago, but you hear about people who get to where they're going, meaning they get that orchestra job, they get, you know, whatever their goal was, but the space that they're in has been so unwelcoming, or whatever it may be, that they don't last there because they like, it's not worth it.
Listen, the amount of times, the amount of bow mapping, amount of hours I spent bow mapping for down one just for me to get to where I'm going. Like I like it here, none of y'all gonna like it.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Katie said she's taking everybody down with her.
I'm kidding.
But I think that's something that people like, especially I feel like since the road can be so long to get to where you're going in classical music. And I mean, like that translates to other industries, sure. But the actual, I think we focus a lot on that. You see a lot of initiatives that are focused on, I won't say the entirety of the way, because there are a lot of things that are very concentrated at the beginning of the pipeline, and then a lot of things that are concentrated at the end of it, like the very, very end. But I feel like there's a huge blind spot in that conversation around what sort of workspace we're sending people into. And I will say that has been a huge benefit in terms of creating your own stuff. I think you have much more control in terms of how you sort of build that out for yourself, and also going forward. I feel like we have this whole movement in terms of like self-care and like mental health and stuff like that, and we've been able to have more flexibility when we're creating environments for ourselves when it comes to that.
I feel like this generation is lit because it's like you ain't gonna stay too long regardless. So I think that plays into it. But I feel like having your own things gives a little bit more security in that.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you listen to Classically Black or you know me in person, like I'm really not shy about saying like I want to be an orchestral musician. Like that's kind of like the main thing that I am working towards right now. I'm currently a fellow with MSO, and I got lucky because I have a good time. Like Kalina down here, Adam down here, like I'm having a good time. The music I actually play the music in this fellowship. So I want to talk about the benefits of staying in classical music. And if you are on your way out, just hear me out. Okay, the first thing for me, especially as a Black musician, is honoring the ones that came before me. I think what is incredible things I think about a lot. One of the things I think about a lot, rather, as a Black person, is how much we will never know the extent to which our ancestors have suffered. And like, it's not like I want to know that, but it just makes me sad that like it's so much worse than we could ever imagine. So I think about like musicians that came before me, and I think about George Taylor a lot. George Taylor was my teacher at Eastman, and he's told me stories, some in confidence, but one that is public is like he had just got to Eastman, and he was hanging out in okay, so if you've ever been to Eastman, it's like the big old building, right? And then there's like a little alley, and then there's a coffee shop. And so he was just like hanging out in the alley because like he's grown, he's minding his business, he's been teaching all day, he just might like, and a security guard came up to him and was like, "Oh, hey George," and he was like, "Hey." And he was like, "Oh, someone said that there was a strange man in the alley, so I just came to see who it was." And it's just like microaggressions like that, and like I have other stuff that I wouldn't say because he, like I said, he told me in confidence. But it's just like there's just been a lot of things that Black musicians have had to endure. That I mean, I think it just depends on what you think and like if that matters to you, because you could be like, okay, my people went through that, so I don't have to go through that. But I think people who have come and cleared away, like like I want to be in that space, and also because I think that that's what I want to do. So that's what I'm gonna do. You don't want to do it, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I feel like it comes down to like everybody has their role,
Yeah.
like in what's going on. Because I feel like although some people may feel like if they're 10 toes down, like make your own stuff, go your own way, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't honor or value the work of the people that came before you. But like there's some people, just everybody has their own role. Some people are simply not built for that. And I think I'm a bit in the middle. I feel like I have shifted more towards I'm gonna just do me. But I definitely was not always that way. I feel like I was definitely more on the other side, maybe like a couple years ago. But we can't ignore the fact, that stuff wears you down. But I feel like, not elephant in the room, but I feel like it's a lot of people need to be careful not to slip into that. I know he y'all fave, but that slavery was a choice territory, because I feel like a lot of people look at that and they don't think it's honorable, but at the same time, it's like black people should be able to be in any kind of space that they want to be in. And if there are people who feel like it is their calling or it is within their abilities to be in those spaces and be the ones changing from the inside, then I can respect that.
And I also think I think classical music is a little bit more nuanced when it comes to creating your own stuff, because it's like just the pipeline of even going to music school or going to a conservatory. It's like you're kind of going in being fed the same things. Like you're going to teach public school, you're going to open a private studio, you're going to be in an orchestra, you're going to audition / start your own quartet, and that's it. And I feel like more and more that might be opening up, but I'm actually not really sure, because I only have like 2 college-bound kids, and I'm just like, um, just keep your options open by going for public school.
Students,
But like,
y'all.
you said what?
No, I said students, y'all. They over here thinking, Kate
Oh,
got kids. Yep, she do. No, I'm just playing.
if I had kids, that would be hilarious. You know why? Because I don't eat myself some days. So how are you gonna be looking at me? Um, yes, sorry, my students, my VO students. I wasn't clear. So I told them to keep their options open, but I feel like it's the like music education has a way of pigeonholing students. So there's not really a lot of, and I feel like there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's a lot. One of the biggest reasons is the people who are teaching, like that's what they were told, and the industry like continues to change. Like who was doing podcasts? Like my VO teacher in high school was not doing a podcast. Mr. Taylor don't got no podcast. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like these. That would be hilarious. That would be tea. I should tell them to do that. Wait. But anyway, I'm just saying that like the industry keeps changing, so it keeps pigeonholing students. But I think more and more you're encouraged to explore. So maybe we'll see a shift in that. Maybe we'll see a shift in kids going to college and being like, you know, I'm gonna learn my little Kaiser A2, but like what I'm really gonna do is this when I leave here, or I'm not gonna go because what I really want to do is this. But yeah,
I feel like that's a whole other conversation in like a side sort of a spinoff of this in music, because not only I feel like the average like music student that's like pursuing a performer's career is not necessarily encouraged to do things outside of it. That, and like you said, that might be changing a little bit with like how the industry is changing. Like a lot of music schools have added like a music leadership or entrepreneurship, you know, department or classes or even major. But especially when we talk about us, like you got black musicians being discouraged from even pursuing the music path in general, and then on top of that, you know, not being really encouraged to go outside of it. And that doesn't even necessarily have to be outside of it creating your own stuff. That could be outside of it doing anything.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think it depends. I feel like I see both sides, because since music is so like technical, like you have to learn this thing to do if you want to do this thing. I see the nuance in that, where it's like, I don't forget when I was pledging my sorority. Obviously, well, not obviously, discretion's a huge thing, so no one knew that I was doing it. But during that time, I also had like music festivals and stuff like that. So and I started the podcast around that time, I think, or maybe something happened, and I missed a shift. And Mr. Taylor was like, "So how much time you do that podcast? Like, what's the schedule like?" You know, and it's just like, rightfully so, right? Because anytime you're doing other things, you're out of the practice room. So, there is that, but also I think it can be really limiting, and also like this classical music stuff really just ain't for the faint of heart. And one day I want to talk more about that. You gotta, yeah, it's a lot, and it ain't nothing. I don't care. It ain't nothing about enjoying no journey. Do not tell me to enjoy the journey. Do not tell me that,
because the journey is the trenches. Let's just
like, I think that is the most toxic, callous advice. Oh, just enjoy the journey. Oh, girl, you spent $400 on an audition. Enjoy it, girl.
Yeah. Like some things girl, simply are not enjoyable.
You got your 70th? No, girl, enjoy it. Like, stop saying that to people. Are you sad? You depressed from this? Girl, you gotta enjoy depression. That's weird. It's weird. Stop telling people that.
It's like, yeah, stop and smell the flowers, but sometimes the flowers be smelling like boo boo. Like
yeah, I feel like stop and smell the flowers be better. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's better advice actually. Like enjoy aspects, or like stop and be like, you get to do this thing, but don't be like, girl, every part of this is gonna be amazing. Eviction notice, girl, that's
okay. You get to rearrange your stuff, like, you know.
Another benefit that I thought of is that the fact that Black people deserve to be here. That's something that I will always say. I always believe that. I don't think no type of way. I don't feel no type of way, and I don't think no type of way when I walk into an MSO rehearsal. I'm like, hey y'all, like I auditioned, I'm here. Like I deserve to be here. My people built this concert hall, built it, and our music is in the canon. I know the masterworks don't reflect that. But we have operas, we have senior openers, we have symphonies, we have art songs, trios, string quartets, quintets. It's all in the canon. It's in the canon. So it's like, how you gonna tell me? How you gonna tell me that I shouldn't be here? Like, I deserve to be here. You're not gonna really make me feel no type of way about that. You're gonna be mad. There's a board. There's an orchestra board. Go take it up with them and look silly.
Yeah, and I feel like that is precisely a reason. Did we do this episode? No, probably. I think that's episode. We got so many episodes, y'all.
Probably.
Like, I always feel like, did we talk about this on the show?
I don't remember like the big ones, like the Cardi B episode. I'm not gonna forget
them. Right. We always practicing. Period. No, I think this might be an upcoming episode. Sorry, spoiler alert. But know about why I feel like there's been so much effort to erase us from the history of classical music is because people will not really make that connection to, like, we've been here, we've been built the concert hall, been putting out work, people coming to see us, getting inspired, and now all of a sudden we got Porgy and Bess, all of a sudden we, all that type of stuff. Like, I feel like we've been sort of erased from the history of classical music, and that's something that is in just like general history as well. Like, people, I feel like every day we see, oh, I had no idea that there was a Black person that did this, or I had no idea that there was a Black person that did scuba diving, or like whatever, like whatever amazing, incredible thing that there was a Black person doing in 1902 that we never knew about because they were like, that's one more thing we're gonna keep y'all out of. Sorry, classical music not gonna be one of them.
Like, Black people really do everything. Like, there's really nothing. It's just shameful that we always hear about it. Like, when like, wasn't some lady in the NBA?
Yeah, the first woman to be drafted by the NBA, and somebody was like, how come I only found out about her on her death day?
Yeah. All right, y'all, we can take a little break to the intermission. Okay, so this intermission, if you listen to Classical Black, you might have heard this before, but after we recorded the episode, I'm like, I would love to have this in front of like a different, larger audience, because like I feel like we've seen okay, I don't want to use this word incorrectly. We've seen changes that were bigger. Like, we've seen fellowships installed, we've seen Black composers programmed, we've seen stuff like that. But one thing I realized where a lot of the change really needs to happen is like in the little details. Like, there are so many little things that you can really look at an organization and be like, oh, y'all don't get it. Or like, you could look at something and be like, oh, like that went over your head. So I want to talk about that. So I asked Dalanie this question: what is a little thing that organizations or institutions do to show you that they're not truly ready for DEI work? So you want me to go first?
Yeah, huh? Go ahead.
Because you say you want to go. Okay, so what really sparked this, I'm not going to get into too much detail because I can't even see y'all. I can't even, like, we're not in Detroit. I need to be able to see who's in the room, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But what I will say is that application fees. There should not be an application fee to a fellowship for Black and brown people. Why? Like, what was I about to say? I don't care how much a little get accepted it costs. I don't care if you can't afford get accepted, they are accepted. I keep the websites get accepted. If you can't afford accepted, like, girl, use a Google Doc. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care how much it costs to pay. Like, you should not be charging. And you're like, oh, it's only $30. Oh, boo, 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 it's only $50. Like, oh, that only word, besides the application fee, is one of, like, that's a trigger for me. Like, that is a trigger for me because you don't know an only. And it's just like, if you're in education, like, maybe because I'm sensitive to it, because, like, I had to learn about this stuff when I was in school, but, like, obviously not, because Dalanie did not study education. It's just like that only word. It's like, you don't know what people are going through. $30 can be a week's worth of groceries. Someone's trying to stretch it. $30 could be the last amount of money in a bank account. And I think, like, an archaic idea is that, like, oh, okay, well, if you don't have $30, and, like, maybe you should sit this one out. But it's like, but you're trying to reach people. Like, you're trying to reach people that want to be in your fellowship. Like, why are you charging for a fellowship application? Especially when it's targeted to, like, there are a couple fellowships that do, and they're hefty too. But I'm not gonna. If you know, you know. There are fellowships. There's one. Let me not say that. But they are expensive. Huh?
What were you gonna say?
I'm not gonna say that because I'm not gonna say that. But I just feel like if you have a diversity fellowship, you should not be charging application fees. I feel like that is just like obvious. Like, that's obvious to me. Just because you've grown, like your 20s are difficult. You just graduated from school, you got student loan payments, you're probably like teaching around, just trying to make it, and now I gotta pay a $30 application fee for what? A $50 application fee for what? $65 application fee for a diversity fellowship. It's just like targeted for me. That needs to be, if you can't afford it, use a Google Doc. Girl, make me go back to the old day. I can tell you a CD. Like, you want a cassette? I will send you a cassette of my playing. Like, I don't understand. That's just really dense to me. That's really dense.
Yeah, because I feel like you don't know what. Yeah, only is definitely a trigger. I feel like it exposes what people take for granted, because it's like, you don't know what $30 is to me, like,
yeah,
at all. And I also think that, like, to your point, that sort of overlooks basically the issues that they claim to be trying to mitigate. Like, you're like, oh, well, it shows the very limited definition that people have when it comes to diversity, because it's like, y'all think the only thing that's keeping people out of classical music is, oh, they did an audition and there was no screen, and so they told them they Black, so you can't be here. It's like, no, there are like levels to this. Like, there are levels to the experience of trying to get to where you're going in classical music. And so for you to be like, hey, we're gonna open this barrier, but we're also gonna put once you open the door, there's gonna be a hurdle behind it. It's like,
yeah,
like, it's like letting you into the train station, but it's the turnstile, no money. Like, it doesn't really make any sense.
And they try to argue down about that. Like, they really try to argue down about it. I don't even be listening. I'll be like, boo, boo, tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. Like, what are we talking about? Like, when people say, like, there has to be, classical music has to be transformed, it's not like a bibbity bobbity boo thing. It's like every single facet of classical music needs to be reformed. And, like, don't be called out. Don't feel bad, girl. I'm sure ballet could say the same thing. I'm sure Black girls in tech could say the same thing. Engineers can say the same thing. The dental industry, I'm sure, like, everybody. But we talk about, like, so don't feel like you're not alone. But it's like every single facet, because, like, you built it on a wobbly foundation. So it's just like, you're gonna have to redo it. You can't just peep, like, you trying to remodel a house and you put in granite countertops, but your basement leaking. It doesn't give. It doesn't give.
I feel like this, because mine is also about money, and so I feel like, well, one, I just want to go back to, I feel like I remember you saying that you be asking for your application fees back, or you have before, and
I can't remember when. I can't remember what, but I have. There was a circumstance for it. But I have asked for it back. I felt my tape wasn't hurt. It was something. I'm trying to remember now, because I could be a little trifling. Let me try to remember. It was like, I don't know. Oh, I applied for this thing, and my YouTube video had 0 views.
Oh,
yeah. I was like, to whom it may concern, like, you run me my fee. I'm like, or I call Chase and dispute the charge. Like, it was something like that. Because I'm not just trifling for no reason.
Especially because ain't no way you ain't make it past no resume round. Y'all seen Katie's resume?
Oh, wait, hold on, wait. No, they haven't. But what was yours? You gonna say something?
Yeah. Oh, I was waiting for you. But no, mine is also about money, and I feel like this is something that this is a multi-level problem. Mine is basically feeling as though you don't need to pay people for their time and for their expertise. And I feel like this is something that we see. I've only worked in terms of nonprofit, only worked with music organizations, but it's something that it does happen across the board, in that I feel like a lot of nonprofit structures are basically exploit people, because a lot of times if you're working with a nonprofit, you care about the cause, and I feel like it's not always fair the way that people are compensated, either undercompensated or not compensated at all, for the time and the work that they put in to get to where they are. And obviously there are different circumstances under which like you work with people. Like obviously, there are circumstances under which someone may not genuinely be able to afford to pay you. Like I'm not about to go kick down the door of so and so organization with 3 employees, like it's not. But like let's not act like places don't span the gamut like of capabilities when it comes to this. And I just feel like especially when it comes to like Black people that they're bringing in, and this is a whole other issue with the fact that a lot of Black people are treated as sort of like an auxiliary or a supplementary resource rather than actually being built into the structure, into like the meat and potatoes of your organization. You got a whole roster of white people working here, salary, benefits up the wazoo, which is fine. They should be compensated for the fact that they're working 40 hours a week for you. But when it comes to the Black people that you're bringing in to supplement the output of your organization, now all of a sudden y'all don't got no budget. All of a sudden the budget's gone. It's not adding up. Literally 0 plus 0 equals 0.
And that's it on that. Yeah, I agree. Obviously. I have one more that I really want to say. And that's like this idea of like the little details that I was talking about earlier. It's like there are certain things that are just going to require more nuance. And how will you go about doing that? I don't know. Like, I'm not your organization. But for example, right, like, so you put your Black composers on a program, right? You like one concert a month has a Black composer on it. And that one concert or that one weekend of concerts, that's the music director is not conducting on that weekend. That's not tacky to you at all. That's not tacky at all. Like that wasn't you in a room, you typing it up like, yeah, that's about to eat. And you saw that and you weren't like, that's not bizarre to you. It's like little details like that. It's like the soloist is Black. Where's the music director? It's like little tiny things like that. They're kind of like
here for this.
You
like
what?
That's what it is. So you don't need to come in for this. That's what it gives.
Yeah, and it gives like almost the same tinge as like how like you don't see like sending your fellows out to do all of the community outreach. And one thing I like about MSO is that everybody's doing it. You know what I'm saying? And because I don't because of the nature of my fellowship, we only have one violin. So the assistant concertmaster be at the little spots with us. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the concertmaster, her group is out doing stuff too. But like, I know that's rare because you see the pictures. It's like the fellows going to do that stuff. Like, it's like the little stuff. It's like, oh, they got the fellowship. But it's like part of the reason for the fellowship is to be able to play a lot of orchestral reps. So you can, when you get to orchestra, you just have an easier time. If they're not doing that, what's the point of having it? It's like y'all just have stuff, and then it's like, for what?
I feel like that goes into. I feel like you don't want to told me this, like the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah,
of this sort of like work. A lot of people can't see past that, because I feel like it was you that told me about a certain situation where it was a fellowship or something of the sort where they were like, oh, what are you going to do for community engagement for this organization? It's like, no, what are you going to do?
I'm going to talk about these. I've read a lot of interesting fellowship applications.
Because it's smoke and mirrors. Because it's like, oh, what we finna get some fellows to come in here, and then they'll do the community engagement. So then now we got the diversity fellowship and the community engagement all into one, and we don't got
no coupon.
Like, and you don't got to ask your musicians to do it. Like, I feel like that's what it's smoke and mirrors. It's like, yeah, we got all of this stuff on paper, but what's actually going on? Your fellows, like, what concerts are they playing? What are they, being offered? Are they being paid a living wage? Are they fellowshipping and then whatever the heck at night and on the weekends,
Mm-hmm. Child, I don't even know. Talking about what am I going to bring to the fellowship? I'm black. I'm bringing what I'm supposed to bring. I got my viola.
Developing in these notes.
I got my viola, and I'm here. Like, what's up? It's a fellowship. If it was a job, I'll be like, okay, I could do this and this. But like the whole point, I thought the point. It even says in the description. It's like, y'all want black people. That's what it's saying. It say right here. So it's just like, what do you mean? Why I got to bring? I'm bringing myself and my instrument.
And my willingness to learn. So
like, I don't know. I think, and obviously, like, no fellowship is the same. Like I said, I've had a great time here, and also I have fellow friends. I have friends in other fellowships. There we go. That are also having a great time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a friend that just did the LA Phil Fellowship. The same friend did New World. That was a great time. It's like, it just depends. And I just feel like, hit dog on holler. If you feel some type of way, fix it. That's another thing. Like, y'all can fix this stuff. Y'all be like, oh my God, like, it'd be crazy. It would be like so crazy. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but like, we need more women composers. How are we gonna do that? Like, how are we? Do you know? Like, girl, you programmed it. Like, I'm sorry. You cannot tell me. Like, explain to me like I'm 5. Tell me how it's hard, and I'll be like, okay, it's hard. But like, nah. Like, there's no way. Okay. Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, coming out of the intermission, I feel like this goes into sort of the flip side of this coin. We're gonna wrap this up in a nice little bow and then take some questions because we don't want to be like, all right, so here's all the bad things about
bye.
it. And then, bye, have fun. Clocking in, like but we do feel, the need to talk about it. So kind of looking at the experience of staying in these organizations, some of the things that have literally brought us to this conversation of talking about, should we go, should we stay, is that a drawback of staying is that you could very well end up in a situation where there's no urgency for change. And a big part of that is talking in circles, having the same conversation over and over and over again. Oh, let's table this for our bi-weekly meeting. And it's like, we've been bi-weekly meeting for like 6 years so that we could plan the Black History Month concert in 2028. Like, that's what a lot of it is giving, like this this culture of having no urgency behind change because it's not necessarily affecting all the folks that you got on your payroll.
It's like we got y'all.
If you see Insecure.
It's just like that. A lot, actually, splitting image. A lot of y'all should like, CEOs should watch Insecure and to see if you notice anything
that's true
jumps out to you. Because if it does, I feel like you should go back to you need to call a meeting stat.
That's low key. That honestly, we got y'all from Insecure, which is like, it's a nonprofit, and they're going to like, it's an after school program for inner city schools.
Oh, we got y'all ran by a white lady.
And the logo is a white hand holding some little black kids. It's a lot. It's supposed to be a joke, but I feel like that's low key a show in and of itself. It's add me to the payroll, like, that's low key a show. But yeah, I feel like when you have organizations that the makeup of like their employees and everything doesn't necessarily reflect their constituencies, like, I feel like that urgency is simply not there because they're like, oh yeah, this could wait, and it's just like, it literally cannot. And that goes into, you know, a lot of folks that have decided to stick it out have been boxed out of opportunities to enact change. I think there was a graphic going around a couple years ago about like the makeup of like a company, and it had like a pyramid of people, and it was like everybody at the bottom was black or brown, and then it was like two in the middle, three rows, and then like everybody at the top was white.
Yeah.
And I feel like people always will, oh, what about the quality? What about this? And what about that? There are qualified Black people everywhere, period. Like, y'all really, like, you cannot fool us with that anymore. Black women, most educated group in, like, in this country. Like, we are literally here. And that's just formal education, not to mention all the other things that you can bring to a job or a position that would help you do it well. And I feel like that's sort of a myth that a lot of people are told in an effort to box them out of opportunities that actually would allow them to make decisions.
Yeah, because if you're making copies, you can't make change. And I feel like one thing that's really frustrating about this is the fact that going back to your last point is that I feel like I've been saying that phrase for literally since we turned the mics on for the first time. So it's like one of y'all going, and I feel like we've seen that a little bit, but also it's just also like which organization you at, and are you in a position of power, but also are you being heard?
Mm-hmm.
And to what extent do you have power? Is someone above you? And the board is above everybody. So it's like, um, it was a lot today.
Right. Um, and then this is a huge one because this really dog walked me in college, to be honest. Is that when we are, as Black people, when we are in these positions, you simply have two jobs minimum. You know, like, I feel like you carry the burden of doing everything that all your white colleagues are supposed to do, and also everything that comes along with being a Black person in a predominantly white institution and space. um, I mean, like, the reason why I referenced college is because I was up at the Black Students Union. Sorry, made the Black Students Union because it was not there before before Katie and I arrived.
Before, like, the last one was like what, like 1971 or something like that.
Yeah.
And even that was questionable.
And so now everybody else got their red Solo cups on the weekend, toasting up, then hungover. Now they practicing all day with, okay, well, let me file this, and let's do the BSU budget, and let's do because there's no support system for Black students at an institution. And I'm thinking, well, in order for me to do my 4 years here, I'm gonna need to set something up because this is not working. And I feel like a lot of even if it's not that straightforward as, oh, you created a structure for yourself and for Black people that came behind you, because I stay in touch and plugged in what the BSU is doing, because it's like, that's amazing that y'all have you can come into college and have a BSU now, because and that's great for me to see, but at the same time, it's not fair. It's not fair that y'all are hitting up Black students to, oh, can you be on this diversity committee for free? Could you do this for free? Like, all of this stuff, when it's like, okay, are white students taking time out of their day and out of their weekend and their practice time to fix all the school's diversity problems for free? Are they being asked to do that? That's what's giving.
I felt like what we said after that one. So I feel like there really isn't an answer here. I really just think it depends on like what trajectory you see for yourself, like how you see your story arc playing out, and whether you want to stay or pivot. I told Dalanie, like, listen, I'm 10 toes. I'm not 10 toes down. I'm like 5 toes down, because you know me in real life, I'd be doing a whole bunch of different stuff. But like, I like orchestra. I want to play in an orchestra. But people want to pivot, and I feel like it's just up to you to decide what you want to do. But you cannot deny that there's a lot of stuff to be considered. So we hope you found this conversation insightful. And if you want to hear more talks like this, but also like shenanigans, because like we're having a good time. I'm freaking the mics are on most weeks, which is why you get a 30-minute insecure wrap up 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Because what was even that? But it's mostly about classical music. I say it's about 80% about classical. Depends on the week.
Depending on, I was about to say.
I feel like we were really classical last week. Was that last week? We were real classical last week.
After the mics go off, the episode has left my brain.
This some episode, this is from start to finish. Classical. So look at us. Look at us.
Staying on topic.
Right. But you can follow us on social media at Classically Black Podcast. 3 years, can't say. And you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Oh no. I think I saw a couple questions.
Yes.
One of them I saw that made me kind of smart was, have y'all ever been impressed by the institutions you work for in response to something you said on your podcast?
No, I don't talk about classical black. Do not mention it. I'm here to play. I'm here to teach. I don't think I've ever. We don't be wild. It be wild to Jace.
Yeah, kind of wild. But the thing is, our episodes are long, so it's like it be in there. You gotta be in the trenches.
We ain't gonna open up a mess.
I too have never been impressed. I don't know if that's surprising.
This is my free time.
Yeah, and also like I stand behind everything I put. I wouldn't put it on the internet if I couldn't defend it, but I also think I've definitely been forewarned about stuff like that, but I think people know who they can try. So
I feel like the longer we've been doing this, I think that was a concern of mine at the beginning, especially when we're talking about like Schubert eating hot wings and stuff like that. But I feel like now, like, ain't nobody really like the thing you said. Like, you could ask about anything I said, I will tell you about it. Like, it's not really even that thing. And also, I don't want to work at an organization where you find problems with what I said, because everything we talk about is like the real issue. We're not making stuff up, like we like shoot the breeze or whatever, but like we're talking about real issues. So if you have a problem with that and you're contrarian to that, then I feel like I don't really need to be in your space anyway.
Speaking of creating your own stuff, have you ever considered designing and hosting a young people's concert? That's a proper noun. It's capitalized as a proper noun, so I don't know if that's like an actual like thing or just a general young people's concert.
I don't know. I never thought about that. That'd be cute though.
Yeah, Katie is an idea factory, and I contribute ever so often, and so I feel like we just got a lot of stuff that's like, yeah, classically black gonna do this, and that. Well, we got to scrape some of those off the ground.
I feel like we've done like there's an episode we did like last Christmas where it was like,
oh, that was cute,
black music. It was cute, so I would do something like that. But I think it was cute to consider.
Black music, like Christmas stories and stuff when we did it, like set to music.
That was cute. I like it. I was just wondering what advice y'all have for someone trying to balance their day job with artistic projects or even just practicing.
That screams
so I got too much stuff going on. I feel like I'm at that point right now where I realize like, hey, this is once all this stuff like reaches full capacity, this is going to be a problem. But like I keep adding stuff anyway. But I think like my biggest projects right now, besides viola, like I have a YouTube channel, like a vegan YouTube channel, and like I help direct ISBM. I think that's like the biggest thing. I mean, like I do a lot. I've been put in a lot of different directions, but one thing that works for me, I always put viola first. That's what's been sustaining me. Like I have different days. I have like 1 6-hour practice day, 2 5 hours, 1 4, and then two maybe more if I can do more. So I just stick to that. Like I'm like I want to be in orchestra. That's what I have to do. So once I put viola first, I just fit everything around that. Like if I have to film a video, if I have to hop on a meeting for ISBM, if I have to my soror in Jamaica, sorry, my sorority sister in Jamaica wants me to start like some string thing, and I was on a meeting for that. Like just being pulled in like a lot of different directions, but viola keeps me centered. And classical like I don't really count because like classical like is like in my schedule. Like we meet every week at this time. It's like a thing. But I always keep viola first, and I think that's what I've been able to sustain me this long. I know I have to practice, and that's what I would really recommend to anyone, even if you had like a 9 to 5, like scheduling out your practicing so that if you wanted to do other things, like you don't feel the guilt because practice guilt is the worst type of guilt. I mean, I'm still gonna lay in the bed, but like it don't feel great. So I found that doing that helps a lot.
Yeah. And I feel like one thing I've given into the fact of like it's definitely hard when you have a day job too. I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't address as you get further in classical music. As you get older, you simply have bills to pay.
Yeah.
But I have heard about that sort of working style of putting the things that serve you and your dreams first. And first could mean first in the day or whenever you have the most energy. Like for example, me, my brain comes on at 5:30 p.m. and my ideal workday is 5:30 to 1 a.m. It's terrible, like for regular people life. But I'll be up at 1 o'clock in the morning and I schedule all my emails to go out at 9 a.m. and it's wonderful. Because that's what works for me. And I feel like if that is possible, I know a lot of people have a little bit more flexibility these days because of work from home. But yeah, it's hard out here. I'm sorry. This might be our last question. Is this still our second to last? Is this still classical music or are we moving towards a new era? What would you call it?
I think we are moving towards a new era, but I feel like it's hard to tell because classical music moves so slow. It's like I still call it classical music because, like, I played Jupiter last weekend. Like, come on, like this is still I'm still very much in classical music, and I feel like my world is just classical music. Excerpts, Bartok. So I still call it that. I don't know. I feel like if you talk to someone else, like our friend Joy, they might say something different, but I think it's still called classical music. If I'm understanding the question correctly, I don't know.
I would say, I definitely think we're moving towards a new era. I think it was Babatunde, who said after the plague comes a renaissance. We're not necessarily after the plague right now, but or he's the one that said that to me. I don't know if that's like a saying, but I think that we're definitely in that Renaissance era or entering it in classical music because you've seen like we said, so many people cropping up with their own things. I don't really know that. I feel like a lot of times language has to be very specific to accurately describe something, but I feel like in this case, since we're changing so much, I don't know that if coming up with a term is the best use of our time, to be honest. Like I feel like we're kind of in an explosion of creativity right now that is beneficial to the work that we're doing, and I would rather just do that right now. But yeah.
I think there's one more. Do we have time to answer?
We got under a minute. So
okay, let's go for it. How do you believe classical music can expand more on pieces that can shed light onto systemic racism?
You gonna answer that in 30 seconds, Katie?
I thought you said let's go.
No.
It's Trinity playing around today, and I think it's real funny because that direct what's it called? They took that money on my account. I think that's very funny. That's very interesting to me. That my Wi-Fi been acting funny, but y'all took my money. So we could answer that on the podcast.
Period. Listen to classical back on Monday.
Next Monday.
Right. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.